Hey ho, my name is the Faniac. You know what that means? Review time! Okay, so since this week was just Star Wars week, it doesn't really make sense to continue on today since sadly today's not Star Wars Day. However, a new episode of The Bad Batch has come, but I'll push that aside for later. And instead, I want to talk to you about a recent thing I found out that's been plaguing most people throughout this pandemic. It's a little tiny thing that's called Marvel fatigue. For those who may not know, Marvel fatigue is it's a little thing that people get when they watch so much Marvel movies in terms of Marvel comics that they notice the pattern, especially with the MCU, that practically every movie within the MCU, of course, is practically the exact same movie, much like the Disney Princess syndrome. But I'll talk that for another time. And I wanted to test that theory to see if it was indeed correct. So I plucked out a lot of my MCU movies, popped them in, and I could safely say that you do need to worry, it does exist. However, it does seem more stronger in the recent ones rather than the newer, rather than the older ones. Though that's just me again, probably. So I decided to see which ones decided. So I decided to see which ones had the more fatigue and which ones had the less fatigue, and thank God, Guardians of the Galaxy is not one of them. Just popped volumes 1 and 2 in just this past week, and I can safely say they're still as good as you remember watching. So that you could put to rest. Guardians of the Galaxy will never die now. But since it doesn't suffer from Marvel fatigue, what problems does it face? That's a good question. Well, then again, there's always the classic Marvel syndrome of which, you guessed it, jokes between fights. That, my friend, is the most worst thing you could ever put in a movie. Why is that? Well, mostly because what happens in a fight? Two people brawl. They punch, blast. And if you put a joke into scene, it kind of ruins the moment. At the very least, it usually does. However, there are certain circumstances of which it works, such as to build character, or, on the other hand, to destroy character. Now, let me explain. Build character usually means that of which you're introduced to a character who's in a brawl. However, if they're going to put jokes in, they usually are meant to show off the character's personality so you can get to identify them more. However, also, jokes can be used to also destroy character, which means lessen them. But a person with so much personality can just boast and brag, or more importantly, smash in a bunch of jokes on a person to make them suffer and feel less of a character, have less personality, kind of like that. So, that can be used effectively. However, most Marvel movies have a tendency of just throwing them in for children. Why? Because what were comics made for? Most likely, kids. Especially in the 30s and 40s. By God. Oh man, blank slates. But, good news is that nowadays, more characters seem to have more personalities. That's the good news. And that's one problem I usually found within the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Also, another problem I found is that a lot of people also argue which one is better, Volume 1 or Volume 2. Me, I'm more of a Volume 1 guy, though I do know people who like Volume 2 a lot more. Let me explain, though. I feel like the tone within the first one was more consistent, whereas it does bounce around between color grading, but the very tone and mood is very consistent, of which it kind of is anti-realistic. Let me explain that, though. Basically, it's just kind of like a very Snyder, but also Avengers type tone, of which it deals with very serious crap, but also trying just to lighten the mood every now and then, so as to not make it that dark. And I do like that. Then again, there's Volume 2, of which it's more of a light-hearted mood. Does it deal with dark crap? It does journey into that territory, though it doesn't really stay for long, sadly. No, and more so is to open up the story and keep it lighthearted. Even the colors are boosted up. Bam, yeah. I think the only circumstance in which it had that darker area was in the forest with Rocket. that's about it, I think. So when it comes down to it, I prefer Volume 1, but that's me. So yeah. Otherwise, characters, I like them. They're very bombastic and very person. They have large personalities, and that makes it good. If you can tell them apart, you have good characters. I feel like that's a good thing. So let's see. Again, atmosphere, love that. And then another thing I feel like plagues a lot of Marvel movies is the runtime. I find it very annoying of which a movie has a very consistent runtimes. Notice that most Marvel movies tend to be between 2 hours and 2 hours and 20 minutes, and that's just the standard. Like, if you notice that, you're officially joined the club. But if you don't notice that, take another look. It gets to be very dark at some points. Though other points it isn't. Like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one was literally, I think, 2 hours and 1 minute. It's short, sweet, gets to the point, boom, you're out of blast. Second one, however, is over 2 hours, which means I think it was like 2 hours, 13 minutes. So it's a 10-minute bump upper. However, now we're in the territory of which it was filmed with IMAX light cameras. Yeah, okay. So it wasn't filmed in IMAX. Captain America Civil War and the last two Avengers movies were filmed in IMAX. However, Guardians of the Galaxy, both of them, Doctor Strange, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Captain Marvel were all filmed, well, select sequences were in an open mat. So far as I can tell, 1 9:1 sequence, which means that it wasn't filmed out. Now, IMAX, however, was filmed to the IMAX ratio, aspect ratio. So that's another thing I don't like, cropping. So yeah, but the good news is that I was able to find the Blu-ray 3D version, which means I get the full screen for the first one. It's awesome. Check it out. It's very cool. If you can grab it, go get it. It's awesome. But then we go down to Volume 2. That's very hard to find. And even when you do find it, it's very hard to even tell a difference. It's between the 4K and the Blu-ray, I can't really tell them apart, sadly. It's just annoying. But otherwise, they're very enjoyable. They're still good. It doesn't suffer from the same crappy formula that a lot of others do, like Homecoming or Captain Marvel. My God, those are annoying. Or especially Endgame. I liked it. No, I don't like it due to Marvel fatigue. But if you can, try to look at the good ones. Guardians of the Galaxy, I assure you, are still good and very watchable. And let me take up that Bad Batch. So, it's Friday, May 7th. 3 days have passed and we got the next episode of The Bad Batch. So, how was it? It was very satisfying. That's about as much as I could say. No, it definitely is not as an emotional roller coaster as the first one. The first one did have its problems, but I could look past it because it was a joyride. This one was very satisfying. However, living up to the hype of the first one was very awesome. It was gonna be hard, especially considering that now the runtime is a lot shorter. Because the first episode was over an hour. I think it was like an hour and 14, 15 minutes, but this one is like 30 minutes. That's like a big jump, man. Well, more of a leap back, I should say, but yeah, no. That's just me, though. Is it good? Yes. Likewise, the animation is always a joyride. And then, of course, D. Bradley Baker is just a treasure. Love him. Jennifer Corbett or Dave Filoni, none of them wrote this episode. Though it was interesting. I like the writer they got for this one. It was pretty good. And it does get familiar. I like that they acknowledged the earlier Clone Wars seasons. I think it was season 2. You'll get it if you watch it. I like that they acknowledge that and go back that far. It's very nice. But yeah, no. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the first one, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, preference wise, I'd rather watch the first one over again. But then again, that's me. So, but what does that mean? Well, that means it's not bad, but it could be better. Okay, that's just pure Wonder Woman 1984 right there. But yeah, no, it's very satisfying, very good. If you want to pop that in for your kids, go right ahead. I'm not gonna stop you if you want to. If you don't want to, like I said, not gonna stop you. I understand if why or why you don't want to show it. Perfectly understandable. However, there is one thing I cannot allow. You know what that is? Having your child watch Star versus the Forces of Evil. Oh my god, that scarred me. Oh, sorry. But no, I would highly recommend not showing your kid that. Clone Wars, I support. This little thing is Forces of Evil. I support that. But if you are going to show it, like I said, I'm not going to stop you. It's your choice. I'm not going to heavily enforce it on you. Like I said, I only make recommendations on here. If I hadn't said that, sorry, I'm filming a lot back to back. But okay, yeah, that's as much as I have for time here for today. I will see you in the next review. Peace out.